The EV charging price war is in full force as Tesla and InstaVolt battle it out for the cheapest prices with dramatically different results. Each month we travel around the country visiting new charging locations, searching for the best public charging deals we can find for you. Some months there's very little to report, but this month we've seen some of the biggest price changes yet. So if you want to save money and improve your charging experience, this video is for you. I'm Dave, this is Dave Takes It On. For those new here, we cover all the major CPOs, that's charge point operators, and look at the price, the power, and the charging experience. For those who want to get straight to their favourite CPO, we include chapters, though this month there's more going on than ever. Be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell for all things EV. Let's get started. We're going to open with InstaVolt. Now, if we check on ZapMap, InstaVolt is one of the largest of the CPOs in the UK today. They have more chargers than anywhere. They don't have any of the ultra speed ones, but the typical ones about 120, 160 kilowatts, which is more than adequate for most cars. We met them recently at Preston when they were installing 2 outside of Burger King, and I visited them down in Bodmin when they put 12 of the 160 kilowatt chargers in down there. The pricing though is a bit of a worry because we've seen them from 69p when we started the channel going through 79p and now up to 87 pence. And that's putting them up into the Shell and the BP range, which must be a negative for them. But the new hub has been open now in Winchester for just over a month, and that is their flagship location. And unfortunately for InstaVolt, they're not turning up. If you go down there now, they have a summer special on, and it's a cracking deal, it really is. So the price is 54 pence, and that's day and night. There is no longer a peak and an off-peak. If you go down there, it started a week ago, 18th of May, it will run to the end of August, 31st of August. Just turn up, it's 54 pence. If you want it cheaper, they have an RFID card, and they, if you use that or their app, will drop that to 50 pence. And 50 pence is a price that you won't find in many other locations. Now, the really sad thing is it's not drawing in the crowds. You would have thought at that price there'll be people queuing up to use it. There aren't. We looked at it this morning. It's a bank holiday round about the end of the morning, early afternoon, and there were 39 available out of 44 chargers. This must really be becoming a bit of a worry for InstaVolt, and we've got a question as to where they're going to go from here. So let's move on to Tesla and straight into controversy. There are many people out there, for moral reasons, will not use them. That's absolutely fine. Everyone has their own opinion. But they do, without doubt, offer the best value out there, and they have a reputation not only for value, but for reliability. But there's been some changes now at Tesla, big changes. And we've seen in some locations a total scrapping of the off-peak rates. Yeah, Tesla always had peak and off-peak they were very much cheaper. What they've done now on some locations is just said, let's bring that to an end and we'll have a standardised rate, and the rate they have charged is 50 pence. So on those locations, you turn up there day or night, peak or off-peak, 50 pence. So simple. And if you want to find out which are which, you need to look either on the app, if you have it on your phone, or on their website, and they will show all of these on there, which is which. When we look at the rest of the pricing, not everyone now has dropped the off-peak rate. So the ones that are still charging peak and off-peak, there have been some really big drops in the peak pricing. Some of those down from as high as 68 pence peak, right the way down to in the 40 pence, 49 pence peak. Now we're talking here about non-Teslas. This is open to everyone, so this applies to everyone. Teslas, of course, will get a special rate which is below these prices. At the off-peak end, we've seen a lot of those prices come down, but a few of those have gone up just a pence or so. So we're not seeing a big change in the off-peak rate, but we have seen a big change in the peak rate. And one of the ones I got most comments about was Portsmouth, where at one time, at an open-to-all charger, it was 90 pence per kilowatt hour. They were clearly pricing it to try and get away from too many people using it. That one now is down to 49 pence peak. That's a massive drop, almost 50% off. The result of all this is that even with the controversy, Tesla superchargers that are open to all are now more popular and busier than ever. And on a number of sites that we looked at, including Manchester Trafford Centre, there are actually full and small queues building, 5 minutes. They do monitor the charges and they do give you an indication as to the length of the queue. And the usual one we will see is full but 5 minutes wait. When they get really busy, you might see a 10 or 15 minute wait, but they always give you a clue as to how long it's going to be. But we very rarely see anything more than 5 minutes. So moving on to Osprey, and these feature some of the nicest chargers out there with the Kemmerer units. They've got a cracking reputation for reliability, and the screens give out so much information if you want to have a look at it. We met up with them at Manor Farm recently near Prescott on the outskirts of Liverpool, and we found 16 of the Kemmerer units. And these are both 400 volt and 800 volt capable. If you have a 400 volt car, like I have with the Tesla, we get 150 kilowatts power out of them. If you have an 800 volt capable EV, like the Porsches and some of the Hyundais, then you can get 300 kilowatts from them. Now, this was a location, 16 individual chargers, and really strange. We had a comment from one of our viewers saying he didn't know this one existed. This is a hub, 16 chargers, and he didn't know. He lives 3 miles away. Anyway, when we got there, absolutely deserted. Now, it's a strange one because it's in the car park of a pub, but not everyone wants to go into the pub while they're charging, particularly not if you're only there for a top-up of 10, 15 or 20 minutes. But there are car parking restrictions there. And they said, if you're not using the pub, then you do need to actually open up an app, which is one I'd never heard of before, and you have to pay for your parking. Whereas if you nip into the pub, even though you're not going to use it, there's a screen there, you can just enter your details and you enter as a patron and then you get free charging. So very strange arrangement. Now, some of them, for example, there's one we've had a report of, an Osprey charger with the cable stolen. It's about 5 months ago, still not being replaced. These are viewer comments, by the way. So if you've got any comments on this or any of the CPOs that we cover, please leave your comments down below. We welcome everyone because we can't get round to all of the chargers. Well, we come on to Shell Recharge, and many of my viewers love my rants with these. They are a lovely choice for some of the companies out there who want to have chargers in their car parks, but couldn't be bothered doing anything themselves. So they are popular with people like Aldi, where I've had several run-ins with them recently. Aldi, in this case, really just get in touch with Shell, ring up, say, can you fit a couple of chargers in the car park? And that's the end of the involvement for both of them. And today, most of them don't work. And yet again, Liverpool last week, we had another one. Aldi couldn't get them working when we did some checking, out of order. So if you're going to run Shell Recharge as a supermarket, then at least you should make sure that they work. However, we did have a big change in our experience of Shell Recharge, and for once it's exceedingly positive. Now, we were in Liverpool and we met up with Ubertricity chargers. These are lamppost chargers. This is a total innovation down there. All of the lampposts have power inside them, not a huge amount, so you can't run ultra rapid chargers from them, but they've all got enough for a 2, 3, 5 or 7 kilowatt charger. And Ubertricity have partnered with Shell Recharge, and in Liverpool certainly there are many streets going in where they're just turning street lampposts into fast chargers. We tried one out, a place called Rundle Road in Edworthy, and it worked absolutely brilliantly. It was my first example of Shell Recharge actually working. Well, sticking with the oil giants, we can't go ahead without a mention for BP Pulse. Now, we came across them down in the NEC, this is National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham, on the outskirts of Birmingham, and they have a cracking gigahub down there. Ultra-rapid chargers, 150 to 200 kilowatts. They have a canopy over the whole lot. Everything is good, apart from, well, we came across a Ferrari parked in there. Now, to my knowledge, Ferrari don't yet make an EV version of their cars, so no idea what he was doing in there. But the hub itself is actually quite good. Ridiculous price, they're up at 89 pence, but the location's good, the charges are good, the canopy's good, there's an awful lot going for it. So if you don't mind the price, then it's one to use. The rest of the location there, this is the NEC, they have 150 fast chargers there, and they are an equally ridiculous price. The idea is that while you're at the exhibition centre, you leave your car plugged in, but the prices are far more expensive than other ultra-rapid chargers nearby. Really, you've got to have a look at BP Pulse and why are they doing this? You see, if they're not going to be sensible about it, why are they putting in chargers? If you want to be taken seriously, you have to put them in at a sensible price so that people will use them. And we move on to Ionity. We came across them recently when we were coming back from a video trip to Liverpool at the Village Hotel location on the outskirts. And there were 12 EV chargers there. We did find two models that we'd never come across before. One was a smaller one, 50 kilowatts, and the other was one we've seen at other CPOs but never being used by Ionity. So they're going well, but when we were there, we did notice there was a big emphasis on memberships. There were stickers on the chargers, on the screens when we activated them. It was always promoting memberships and showing you how little you could be paying if you take advantage of the memberships. And I have to say, we've done several videos on memberships. We'll leave a link to one of those down below. And they are very, very good if you are regularly charging at one of these locations. So if you use a charger 2, 3 or 4 times a month, membership's a really good deal. We're also made aware of Spark Alliance. Now, we have for a long time known that the EV manufacturers are starting to realise that Tesla's got a bit of an advantage over them by running their own supercharger network, and that provides them with a revenue, and they're now having to borrow some of those chargers for their own EVs. So the manufacturers have been looking into EV charging for a while, and Spark Alliance is a new one done by the EV chargers themselves, the CPOs. And 4 of those have got together, 2 of them in the UK, which is Ionity and Fastned, and 2 of them we've not heard of in the UK, so we're assuming these are based in Europe. And they're forming a new super network alliance. So there's going to be some merging there, and we've not yet seen where this one's heading, but well worth a visit. Ionity, good locations, good powerful chargers, and with the memberships, a really good price. So that brings us on to the other member of the Spark Alliance, Fastned. Now, we like Fastned because they are very different. They've got a beautiful, stylish colour scheme. This is the bright yellow, the black and the wood, which goes well everywhere. We came across them recently in Bradford, some of the fastest chargers we've seen. These are 400 kilowatt chargers. Underneath a canopy, and many of you do ask, why aren't more people installing the canopies? So there's an awful lot going for them. They just make us wonder what's going to change with this new alliance. Are we going to lose that lovely Fastned colour scheme, or are we going to use that as a standard for the future? We've yet to find that out. We talk about price war, and with petrol, that came in the form of supermarkets challenging the oil giants. And exactly the same now is starting to happen with EV charging, with Sainsbury's and their Smart Charge. They've set a price of 72 pence, and they use the Kemmerer chargers. Now, these are not Osprey chargers. Sainsbury's has set themselves up as a CPO, so they're perfectly free to charge whatever price they like. And the supermarkets don't regard other EV CPOs as competition yet, but they do regard other supermarkets as competition. So when the other supermarkets start using EV charging as a loss leader to get customers into the stores, you're going to see some big price cuts coming here. 72 pence at the moment. You also get nectar points on EV charging, which is absolutely fine. They've got the good Kemmerer chargers, lovely colour scheme. They're well-designed sites as well, so supermarkets are starting to take these seriously. Regular viewers will know that this CPO gives me major problems with how to pronounce their name. I ended up calling them Evyve. Oh, by the way, if you're not a regular viewer, maybe now is the time. Click the subscribe button if you do like the content that we produce. But the company is Evyve, and there's a lovely story to it. We were chatting with the CEO recently, and he said they had a different name when they were launching, but then they got a challenge on the name, trademark challenge, and they couldn't use it, so they had to come up with something very quickly. And when they did a search, they found out that anything that said EV was pretty much already taken, and they had a major problem finding something that made sense. So they thought, let's pick a name that people won't be able to pronounce. It's called Evyve. And we had a recent interview with them, and they have some fascinating things to say about the future, particularly with competition, that they do monitor all of the competitors, and they, like supermarkets, are ready to adjust prices if necessary to beat the competition locally. This will not be a national decision. Like the supermarkets, they will adjust prices based on local variations. So we're heading down to the final two featured CPOs, but there's a load of smaller ones that require mentions, but these are going to be quick mentions. So we've got Arnold Clark. They've got it's classed as non-public charger because you need to use an app, but they are available to everyone. They will often be behind barriers. You need automatic number plate. They'll open up for you. Fantastic chargers, and also a fantastic price. They're 55 pence, and they're coming to an Arnold Clark near you very soon. We've got a real innovation coming up now with AW Energy. It's the first of the ones that we are aware of where an EV charging installation is plugged directly into a wind farm. No grid connection whatsoever. And that allows them to have total freedom to charge whatever they want. The wind farm that they own will be selling electricity to the grid, so effectively they can sell electricity to their own EV chargers and get it at a price dramatically lower than anything that's being charged on the grid today. So the company's AW Energy. There's only one location at the moment down at Leighton Buzzard, but the price they're charging for ultra-rapid chargers is 39 pence. This is one of the future developments for EV charging, where all of the solar farms and the wind farms can eventually have their own charging hubs, and they will be priced very, very much lower than the grid. I'll move on to MFG. They deserve a mention because they also have canopies, which a lot of you do like and request. They are unfortunately almost all located on petrol forecourts, which is probably the worst place for siting an EV charger because of the proximity to fumes coming from off the petrol and the diesel pumps and exhaust fumes as people pull in and out. For the average price, 79p. Reasonable chargers, round about 150, 200, some of them 300 kilowatts. So they deserve a mention, but that's about it. EV on the move, EvyPoint, which is it? Well, it turns out it's actually both. They are, in effect, two separate companies run by two brothers, and one of them looks after the petrol forecourt side of the business. The other one is concentrating specifically on EV charging. The brother concentrating on EV charging has renamed it EV on the Move, so you'll see that name. EvyPoint is still around. They do have reasonable prices. They can be down as little as 65 pence, but because of this brother arrangement, you're never sure what you can get. So there's no blanket pricing. So you need to check each individual one. But 65 pence, 64 pence or 72 pence, that's about the range they're at. And the EV on the move now is installing the Tesla V4 chargers, which are really simple to use. One we haven't mentioned for a while is Westmorland. They're based up in T-Bay in the Lake District. We visited them there. We've also been up to their Scottish installations and down to their Gloucester motorway services there. They have a very different approach to motorway services in that it is all local products, local tradesmen, local skilled workers. So very different experience. You won't find a McDonald's there or a bottle of Coca-Cola either. They're typically round about 69 pence. They're trying to keep their prices down. They got 300 kilowatt chargers, which are really nice units. And they got some of the best screens you'll ever see. It's a 32-inch touchscreen on their chargers. Another mention, smaller one, BE.EV. They're out and about, mainly northern based, not many anywhere else. They are again in the 50, 75 kilowatt range. Again, a very complicated pricing structure. They have 3 prices for each of the different powers of the chargers. I find it a bit of a nightmare. It really needs simplifying, but check them out on their website for the actual final prices. But outside the north, you're not going to find them. And then we come on to PodPoint. PodPoint, is it a CPO? Well, it can be and it can't be. Sometimes they operate as a CPO, so they will be running the chargers in, for example, a Tesco supermarket car park. Other times they will be advertising in their own right and putting their own chargers in. So really strange one. But they're out there. They do deserve a mention, but prices vary wildly. You get some prices down in the 40p, others up in the 70 or 80p. So check out individual locations. We come to GeniePoint and we have a viewer comment says, why should we even cover them? Why bother? And beginning to think they've got a bit of a point there. We have covered them before because in some locations they do have some reasonable chargers, 300 kilowatts, not reasonable pricing. They again are often up in the 85 pence range. Their website is a sight to behold. It is appalling. It is just their app, full screen on the website. They're very big on lone chargers, so you often find a supermarket with just one charger there, and usually they don't work. So I think these are going to be included in the quick mention for the future. Applegreen Electric is a strange one. We had big hopes for Applegreen. They were very big in the oil industry, petrol forecourts in the States and hotels and motorway service stations. And they came over into the UK as Applegreen Electric and promised big things. And they have installed a good number of chargers, and they're using very nice chargers. They install a good number of them, and they are, well, they're priced at about 79p, but you get a few pence off if you use their app. We did get a viewer comment saying, well, we can't see them. Do they ever get up north? Well, yeah, we filmed them at Gretna Green, and that's just on the outskirts of the border between England and Scotland, so you don't get an awful lot further north than that. Gretna Green. We've also filmed them down at South Mims, down on the M25. So they're pretty much universal, and they are unusual in that they actually own the service stations on the motorways where they have their chargers. So a CPO and the motorway services owner all in one. Yeah, they have plenty of chargers, so we usually find a space there. But there's nothing much happened. The price hasn't changed. Number of installations hasn't gone up recently. They seem to be a bit of a stagnation at the moment. One of the things we have noticed in our travels this last month is the emphasis on memberships. Everywhere we go, the chargers have got stickers over them. The websites or their apps have got mentions of memberships. And it seems to be there's a big push on this at the moment. So as a viewer, if you've got any comments on memberships, let us know. My own thought is it's a really simple one, and that is they are really good. If you flip it around and look at the petrol side of it that we used to drive around in, but if a local petrol station said, give us a £5 a month and we'll give you 30% off the price of a litre of fuel, there'd be queues miles long to get into them. We overlook the fact that they do offer very substantial discounts for a very small membership fee. And in general, if you charge more than once a month at the same location, you will be better off with a membership than without. I know some people say don't want to have to do a membership. Well, don't. You pay the higher price. But for a £5 a month, if you can get 30% off the price, I think that's a real good deal. I like them personally. I'd prefer if they dropped the prices to everyone permanently. They're not going to do that. Okay, so we hope we've covered your favourite CPOs. We hope we've covered everywhere where you're going to be charging. If we've missed anywhere, let us know in the comments below. If you've had good experience or bad experiences, let us know in the comments below. We do read these and it does give us a lot of inspiration as to what to film for the next one. So thank you very much for watching. We've got to give a big thank you to all our members. That's the Patreon members and the YouTube members. You get lots of benefit, but you are big support for the channel. So thank you for that. Thank you again for all the subscribers. That really affects how YouTube treat our videos. And for anyone else, thank you very much for watching. Every single view counts for us. So thanks very much. I'm Dave.